Okay, we'll do Pete on 3. Yes, ma'am? Fantastic. For Miss Anvita, for that purple belt. Yes, purple belt. Okay, changing gears. Pete on 3. Pete on Sandan. Think of the beach. Think of the sand. Pete on Sandan. Okay, so in that case, I still have a couple things I want to go over without weights, just to make sure we've got them. When we do Pete on 3, I want us to think about a couple things. When we do this, we're going to have this motion. We're going to do some cat stances with an outward middle block. Cat stance, outward middle block. Remember the outward middle block, I'm just going to do a quick refresher. The outward middle block is the pulling the sword out of my hand, out of its hilt. Yes, ma'am? Or sheath. That's the one where the hand on bottom goes out to do the block and the other hand does the chamber. Do it on the other side just one time, hand on bottom, pulls out the sword, hand on top, does the chamber. And then we're going to have to do something called a double block, which is where one hand is in an outward middle block and the other hand's in kind of sort of a down block, more towards our center. So it's a double block with our feet together, our knees are bent, and then we're going to switch by just moving our hands the opposite way. We want to make sure that my arm, I'm going to move it out of the way, my arm stays at a 90-degree angle. Yes, ma'am, my wrist is straight, and the other hand is just out like this. It's not going to be out to the side, because then I'm leaving my center line open. They're going to be in front of my body, in line with my shoulder. Yes, ma'am? Okay, making sure that it's in line with my shoulder. It's not all the way up here. It's not all the way down there. So, Miss Anvita, can you bring your hand just down a little bit? There you go. Perfect. Do we understand that? Yes, ma'am? Thumbs up? Oh, I forgot one more thing. We're going to do an augmented block. An augmented block, we always keep on going back to outward middle blocks. It's an outward middle block with your other hand towards your elbow. Yes, ma'am? As opposed to chambering here, the augmented block has the hand here. Does that make sense? Give me a thumbs up. Do we understand? It sets up sort of like a roll, just like this. So my fist is kind of in front of my solar plexus as this other hand does an outward middle block. It's not out to the side. My fist isn't touching my elbow. It's just sort of close to it. Yes, ma'am? Okay. Those were a few things that I think some of us may trip over, so I want to make sure we cover them first. So, Pete on 3. Pete on what in Japanese? Pete on?
Sandan.
Sandan. So we're going to do a ready stance. We're going to do a bow. We're going to do a ready stance because every kata starts with ready stance, bow, ready stance. We're going to do that cat stance outward middle block. My feet are going to come together as I do a double block and a double block. You'll know if you're doing the right double block if the way you're facing, if I'm the front, it's the opposite arm. It's the arm and back that does the second outward middle block. Yes, ma'am? Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. It's symmetrical. Cat stance, outward middle block. Feet together, double block, double block. Another way to remember it is the same arm that does the outward middle block with the cat stance is the same one that should finish up in our double block, double block. Does that make sense? Yes, ma'am? Okay, let's shake it out. Alrighty, we're starting off with moves way different than Pete on 1 and Pete on 2, so I just want to make sure we got it. We're going to do our ready stance. We're going to do our bows. We're going to do our ready stance. We do our cat stance middle block, making sure we've got our chamber on our hip. My feet come together, double block, double block. Same thing on the other side, cat stance middle block. My feet come together as I do a double block and a double block. I'm going to turn to the front now and do a front stance augmented block. There's that other new block. So we should be facing towards me with my left foot forward. If you have to make your L's, go ahead. My left foot forward in a front stance with an augmented block. Then here's my favorite move of the whole kata. I step forward and I nukite. Aya! That's a spear hand. My other hand is going to be just touching my bicep. It's not going to be underneath. It's going to be just touching it. Hiya! I'm going to fold this hand. My front knee is going to turn in because I'm going to turn all the way around like 270 degrees into a horse stance down block. Yes, ma'am? So how I did that? No? You're a little lost, Michael? You're giving me a no. You want to restart? We'll do this super duper quick so you can hop in. Yes, ma'am? I want to go over that turn really quick. We did our spear hand. When we do this turn, I'm scooching back so you can see my legs. I folded my front knee, I turn inwards, like I'm turning my toes. This is almost like a pre-rotation, so when I start to do this big turn, it's a lot easier. Yes, ma'am? And for you, Miss Anvita, I don't know how much you've done it, but I find that the more you practice this turn, the easier it is. Yes, ma'am? So I'm going to turn that front knee inwards as my other foot comes all the way around into my horse stance down block. And I didn't turn all the way. I'm not facing here. I'm facing the diagonal. Yes, ma'am? Okay. Let's restart this super duper quick. Make sure we've got that turn down. Ready, stance? Let me see it, Michael. Ready, stance? Bow. Ready, stance. Cat stance, middle block. My feet come together. Double block, double block. To the other side. Cat stance, middle block. My feet come together. Double block, double block. I'm going to turn to the front now and I'm going to do a front stance, augmented block. Making sure that I'm using this fist in front of my solar plexus instead of over by my elbow. I'm going to step forward and nukite. Aya! This is a fantastic ki point, oh, by the way. And then I'm going to fold my arm. I'm going to turn that front knee in as I turn into a horse stance, down block. I'm taking a scooch back just so you can see me. Horse stance, down block. I'm now going to turn to the front as I do 3 lunge punches. So front stance, lunge punch number 1. Step forward, lunge punch number 2. Step forward, lunge punch number 3. Aya! All right. Now here's my next move. It's another one of my favorites. Peanut 3 has a lot of funky moves. I'm going to pretend. I'm going to show this to you. I'm going to pretend like this leg is glued to the floor. This leg is glued to the floor. It can only turn. It can't come up off the ground. So it's got a nail in it. Thank you. This other leg is going to pivot around it as I do my Goshin action hero. Cue air trumpet. So let me show it to you one more time. I did my last lunge punch. This foot's nailed into the ground as I turn. And my hands are on my hips like a super duper superhero. Kara's over here looking so superhero-ish. Yes, ma'am? Okay, so you should, technically speaking, you'd be facing away right now. So now I'm going to take my right foot. That's the foot closest to the bobs for me. I'm going to step out into a horse stance. And I'm going to pretend like I've got a chicken nugget taped to my elbow. I'm going to dip my chicken nugget in the honey barbecue. But now I've got to get it off of my elbow to eat it later. Yes, ma'am? So I'm going to flick my chicken nugget off as I bring it back. Yes, ma'am? Now my feet come together as I turn into another horse stance. Uh-oh, we've got honey mustard this time. So I've got a chicken nugget taped to this elbow. I've got to dip my chicken nugget. Now remember, I'm not dipping my whole elbow. If my whole elbow was covered in honey mustard, I wouldn't be a happy camper. I just want to dip the chicken nugget. I want to make sure that my shoulder doesn't go with me. So I dip my chicken nugget. It's a tasteful dip, not a dunk. And then I'm going to flick it away. Last time my feet come together into a horse stance, I've got, what's your favorite dressing? New barbecue, we got honey mustard, ranch! We got ranch dressing. Ranch. I'm going to dip the chicken nugget this time, and I'm going to back fist. Now I'm going to flip my hands over. I'm going to do this one move, and then we're going to go back. Now here's the hardest move. I'm kidding. It's a super duper easy move. My foot that's in the back here is going to turn towards the Goshin logo. I'm going to do a high punch with a ki. Aya! And I should be in a front stance right now. Yes, ma'am? All right, shake it out. Shake it out.
So just finish up.
I know we're flying through it. I just want to make sure that we understood that. Dip the chicken nugget, flick it away. What the horse stance is. Yes, ma'am? How are we doing so far? Give me a thumbs up if like bing, bada bing, bada boom, I got it. Thumbs down if I'm so totally lost. We're doing okay? Okay. We're doing okay. Ella's got it. Fantastic. Anvita's doing okay? Uh-oh, Michael's having a challenge. I know, it's a challenge in kata. We're working on it, okay? Don't worry, we're going to do it again. Miss Anvita, you test soon. What's giving you a challenge? Is it just practicing, or do you have a question about a move? She's muted. I do not understand the turning part. Do you mean the big turn or the Goshin Action Hero turn?
The big turn.
The big turn. Okay, let's go over it again. Can I move the camera, sir? I'm going to show you my legs so you know the turn, okay? So here's how this works. I'm going to pretend, let me show you where I am first. I'm going to be in my spear hand with the Nukite folded, okay? My right leg, which is the leg closest to the mirror for me, is in the front. Okay, can you move it down now?